The characters we will be seeing this year in Black Ops Gulf War Zombies, the return to round base from Treyarch. 4 years of development, it better be a banger. We have some very juicy news to go over that I haven't seen many people talking about regarding the fact that we know of characters that are going to be within this game, as well as we have information about a cutscene that is going to be featured within this game that seemingly is going to feature Gregory Weaver, as well as a mysterious new female character that we don't know who they are, that I will try and pinpoint who they are later on in this video. But before we get into all of that, I first have an amazing sponsored message to share with you, and then we'll jump right into the news. Okay, pop quiz time. What's this ad read going to be about? It's not a VPN, no, it's not a new set of headphones, it's an awesome and infamous game I'm sure you've heard of. I'm talking about hundreds of champions to collect, a super in-depth RPG battle system, amazing graphics, intense PvE boss fights. Sounds pretty good, right? Comment down below what I'm about to say. Yes, that's right. Come on, let me tell you about Raid Shadow Legends. So picture the scene. You've just got yourself a brand new phone and you are looking for the best mobile game to play with awesome visuals, loads of powerful champions, bosses and tactical PvP content. Why not try this cool game which I'm about to tell you about? Raid is celebrating the arrival of spring in Teleria with a special Spring Hunt minigame where users can win gaming consoles and $10,000 worth of Amazon gift cards. This is a huge opportunity. Players will need to find hidden items around the Mistwood. Simply download Raid using the link in the description, head to springhunt.plarium.com, enter your Raid ID and start searching for missing items. Once completed, you can win anything from in-game loot like legendary champions or skill tombs to real-life prizes like a gaming console or Amazon gift cards with, like I said, a total value of up to $10,000 to be given away. This is the first time Raid are giving away so many and so much cool real-life prizes. And if that's not enough, Raid is also celebrating community weeks dedicated to the existing Raid players. All users will be getting a legendary champion, Chronicler Adolin. She's amazing at placing valuable debuffs while bypassing the block debuffs buff. Everyone can get their hands on Adolin for free just by logging in for 7 days between April 11th and July 8th. Don't miss out on this legendary opportunity. Lastly, there's a promo code for all users, SpringHunt24, that you can see on screen to grab yourself the following items. Input that in game and get 10,000 XP brew, 100 energy and 100,000 silver. So don't miss out on this epic event. Download Raid Shadow Legends now using the link in the description below and get ready to embark on an unforgettable adventure in Teleria. Happy hunting. Okay, so regarding the characters that we are going to see in Black Ops Gulf War Zombies, of course, Cold War Zombies as well as Modern Warfare 3 Zombies has filled in a lot of the gaps, so we know of characters from both of those games that are going to be within this. However, more importantly and more concretely is we know, like I mentioned at the start of this video, of a cutscene that is apparently being filmed and worked on right now for Gulf War Zombies. Recently, Gene Farber posted over on Instagram saying another day at the office, showing that he was doing some motion capture work. Now, he is actually the person who does the motion capture for Gregory Weaver, and I believe he's done some other characters in Call of Duty. Of course, he could be doing this for an entirely different game. However, I think it is for Gulf War. He has actually liked comments on this post saying Gulf War. Now, he seems to have liked every single reply to this post, so it could be that he's just liked everything. However, he should be remaining extra cautious considering fans are going to just jump on this straight away. And interestingly enough, last year, he similarly posted that he was doing motion capture work that again many people think is for Gulf War Zombies. Now, the reason why I think this is definitely for Gulf War is because at the exact same time this was posted, a motion capture actress known as Chantal Barry posted that she was doing some mocap work. Everyone in the comments is of course speculating about what it could be, but she is not giving it away. However, the reason why I think it's for Gulf War is it seems to line up with when the Weaver motion capture actor similarly posted this post, and she is also following Treyarch over on Instagram. And I think the reason why this is notable is it seems like she has only recently followed them, and also she doesn't follow any of the other Call of Duty social pages, such as Call of Duty's own Instagram or the other development studios, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Infinity Ward, etc. And the reason why I think this is interesting is because it seems to suggest that this was a manual follow. Now, she does follow a couple thousand people, so that's quite a lot, so this could have been done by her just spam following people. But the reason why I don't think it is usually when you spam follow people on Instagram, it'll make you follow a load of similar accounts. For example, as soon as you follow Call of Duty's account on Instagram, it'll immediately suggest all of the other development studios to then follow. And if you're just going through and spam following them, you'll end up following all of Call of Duty's social channels. But she literally only just follows Treyarch and none of the others, which again suggests the reason why she followed them was because she was doing motion capture work for Treyarch specifically and not for any of the other studios. And I think the timing, considering she posted this similar to when Weaver's mocap actor posted their post, that they could potentially be in a cutscene together. And it seems like this is going to be for a big cutscene because they have the full body actors to do the motion capture work. However, usually for the in-game cutscenes like we saw in Cold War Zombies and most of the other Zombies experiences, they are a lot more scaled back. Of course, the intro cutscene for D Machine was a much higher budget cutscene because it was rendered out of game instead of in-game. And if we look at Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, we've gotten very beautiful cutscenes. These were probably all pre-made before the game even released, including all of the seasonal cutscenes. And they're able to be such higher quality because they are not rendered in-game. So I'm hoping that for Gulf War Zombies, we get these big budget cutscenes like we've seen from Modern Warfare Zombies, and they look absolutely stunning and beautiful, since it seems like they're going to be done in-house. A lot of people criticize Black Ops 4 Zombies at the end of the Aether story for having these cartoonish cutscenes and us not getting high quality cutscenes. And even the cutscenes that were actual cutscenes, for example Classifieds and Blood of the Dead, had weird glitching issues, and even in Cold War Zombies, that's the problem with when they do in-game cutscenes. They're not able to be as high quality. Of course, they're cheaper to make, but I'm hoping that considering Modern Warfare Zombies has gotten a big budget cutscenes, that similarly Gulf War Zombies gets the same. It deserves it. I really think the end of the Aether story deserved it as well, but Activision clearly was stripping the budget for Black Ops 4 Zombies at the time due to it underperforming, unfortunately. And a big reason why they would do the in-game cutscenes for the Easter eggs is that not only are they cheaper to make and easier to make, but it would also prevent data mines, since of course the cutscenes that are rendered out of game end up being an actual video file in the game instead of them happening in sequence when you are playing. And because of that, people will jump into the files and leak them before people have even gotten a chance to complete the Easter egg. But honestly, screw the data miners. I think that this is just unavoidable and would rather we get more beautiful cutscenes at the expense that they might get data mined, as long as they are only in the files when the Easter egg is actually live and not beforehand. That way you only will have to wait a matter of hours before it's actually solved, especially nowadays when Easter eggs get solved so quickly, so there's not that much room to get spoiled. So I am wondering who this woman character could be, because so far we don't exactly know who, and she seems to have not done mocap work for prior Call of Duty characters, at least as far as I'm aware. If you know, let me know in the comments down below. So it seems to suggest that this is for a new character, and I'll come on to some speculation about who they could be in a second before going into a rundown of all of the characters we know are going to be in Gulf War Zombies, as well as the possibility of us maybe getting an actual playable crew that we so desperately have been pleading for. So first things first, the big characters we know are going to be in Gulf War Zombies are likely the Requiem heads, as well as the Strike Team and also Raptor 1. Of course, at the end of Cold War Zombies in 1985, Eddie Richtofen was revealed as the director of Requiem, and as he shut down Requiem, he had them apprehended, and we know they were taken to somewhere known as Black Site 13. We then were introduced to a post-credit scene where we know that Dr. Peck is still alive, but his face is now scarred. He was working as a mole for Richtofen in Omega throughout the entirety of Cold War Zombies, as he promised him safe passage to the US once this was all going to be over. And Peck, being the selfish man he is, was just looking after his own agenda. Maybe after uncovering all of the dark truths and further stuff that Richtofen was up to, he has a change of heart, but he didn't entirely learn the identity of the director until the end of that story. So in 1990, during this 5-year gap, he has most likely further uncovered the identity of Richtofen and is now going to be actively working against him, and he might serve as a protagonist now in this game. The reason why his face is scarred is that on the Forsaken there was a gas leak incident where of course he and Kravchenko were subjected to an explosion. We know he has managed to survive the explosion, but has Kravchenko as well. I think likely he similarly survived considering Peck has, and most likely he has went to Afghanistan like we saw him within the flashback mission in Black Ops 2's campaign to become an arms dealer, because there are quotes on Forsaken suggesting that is going to be his demise if the events of Forsaken do not go according to plan in his favor. And I do wonder if we could see Kravchenko then in the campaign for Black Ops Gulf War. Now, I don't think we're going to see him in Zombies. I think Omega's story has concluded, his story has now concluded, but there is a chance that since it's likely we're going to Afghanistan in Gulf War's campaign, since it'll span the 90s and early 2000s, that we will see him prior to the flashback event we saw in Black Ops 2 where he died. Anyways, Dr. Peck is requesting a boat to somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. Most likely, he is going to be trying to rescue the Strike Team and or the Requiem heads, because most likely this is the location location of Black Site 13. Most likely this is an island known as Terminus Island that we learn about in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies because Jack Fletcher used to work security detail here, and we know that this island is located in Brunei, which if we line up where Dr. Peck points on the map, seems to line up closely to where Brunei is located. So most likely Terminus Island, Black Site 13, and where the Requiem heads were taken are all one and the same location. It is possible that Black Site 13 could be a separate location because we don't know if the strike team and the Requiem heads have both been taken to the same location. For example, maybe only the Requiem heads are on this island, the strike team could be at Black Site 13, which could be a separate place. Anyways, considering that Jack Fletcher used to work security detail on this island, and we know that he named his mercenary group Terminus Outcomes after Terminus Island and the work he did there, it seems he worked for Richtofen during the 90s, and we may see him on this map. And I do wonder if he is still even potentially working for Richtofen all these years later, especially since he kept the name. It also begs the question, if Jack Fletcher is on the map, are there going to be NPCs on the map? Maybe similar to Firebase C, where you can go up to Ravenov and talk to him, Jack Fletcher is going to be somewhere that we can speak to him, or maybe, and I hope this isn't the case, that it could be like Modern Warfare Zombies where there's literally enemies that can shoot at you on the map. I really hope that's not the case. I don't really like it in Modern Warfare Zombies, but at least that's a different experience, an open world experience. It definitely doesn't belong in round base. They tried it in Exo Zombies and it was horrible. Now we know from leaks from Terminus Island that apparently the map is going to feature a boat that's on the outskirts of the island, and the island itself is going to feature an underground laboratory / prison. So this again seems to suggest that this is the location where the Requiem heads are being held. So I wonder if we could actually finally have a playable crew in this game, that being Gregory Weaver, Dr. Gray, Carver, and also Strauss, because we literally have 4 characters, the Requiem heads, that were apprehended. It's the perfect opportunity for us to finally have a playable cast, because of course we now just have operators, and unfortunately this just leads to generic lines and you not really being able to resonate and link with these operators. Now I'm totally fine with us being able to have operators and choose them, however I do think it should be a choice, and you should be able to choose whether you want to play as operators or whether you want to play as the main crew, and that can be a further avenue for them to tell the storyline. And unfortunately, due to them wanting to sell microtransactions, this is something that Call of Duty's lost over recent years. They tried, of course, in Vanguard Zombies to counter this by having the different Dark Aether entities speaking to you throughout the game, and there was 4 of them, but it wasn't the same as having an actual cast. So I really hope they are the cast we get. Now the thing is, if Dr. Peck is heading there on a boat, and we know that a boat is somewhere on the outskirts of the map, then I wonder if the boat crashes into the shore, or maybe it's stopped before Peck is able to rescue them, because we know that the island is heavily guarded. Richtofen has employed people such as Jack Fletcher, so if they try and approach the island, they're probably just going to get shot at. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. Maybe Dr. Peck tries to get to the island but then gets shot out, the boat crashes, and then maybe he is apprehended, and maybe the map starts with you spawning in the prison section as Weaver, Gray, Carver, or Strauss, or all of them, and then trying to break out. That could be a possibility. I just really wonder how it's going to play out storyline wise, because like I said, we literally know that Richtofen has security on the island. So how the crew are going to break out is a mystery to me, and I also wonder if there are going to be physical humans on the map, which would be horrible for gameplay. I think it makes sense storyline wise, but gameplay wise I don't want that to be the case, unless some sort of zombie outbreak starts on the island and then that causes all of the security guards to be killed or turned into zombies. But like I said, we know Jack Fletcher was security detail on the island, so either he then escapes or he's going to actually be on the map. Now, the other character we know of is, of course, Ravenov. Now, we don't know, of course, what happened to Ravenov during the 90s, and it is possible that maybe he could be one of the playable characters. That is, if we have an actual crew. I really hope we do, and if so, he could be in the place of Carver or Strauss, for example. Or maybe we could have a larger crew, a 6-person crew, for example. I mean, Modern Warfare 3 Zombies literally supports 6 players, but unfortunately, you can only do that via assimilating. But it shows that the servers can handle it. It would be awesome to have a 6-player crew. Now, Dr. Peck could even be another character if he successfully gets to the island. Now, Ravenov ended up becoming a mob enforcer after Gulf War Zombies. We know because they failed to successfully rescue Samantha that he probably went into a state of depression and a dark place in his life, and he ended up turning to crime. And I guess he probably also needed an income, and he somehow fell down this dark path before eventually being recruited again to work for Operation Deadbolt in Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. Maybe that was even the director, Richtofen himself, who instructed that, or some other higher agenda. Someone was doing doing a favor for him, but for their own personal goal. But we don't know what Ravenov got up to through the 90s, but he most likely has also been taken captive, and he could be held with Weaver and the rest of them as well. And the reason why I say this is because we know, of course, of Dr. Ava Jansen in Modern Warfare Zombies, and we seem to think that she could be the child of Dr. Gray, which is confirmed from the intel in the game, as well as Ravenov. Dr. Gray gave her up for adoption, and when Ava was growing up, she ended up looking into her research, and that's how she got into Ethereum, etc. But it seems she doesn't know that Ravenov is her father yet, but he seemed to imply as such as in the latest Modern Warfare Zombies cutscene. And if this is true, when did they exactly create this child? Was it whilst they were imprisoned together on Terminus Island? That could be a possibility. No one really knows. There could be something weird with the Dark Aether going on. But anyways, regarding who this woman character is, since Ava Jansen has Dark Aether powers and she has a connection with this Dark Aether entity that I've speculated in prior videos, is actually Ava Jansen herself, a split version of Ava Jansen, a mirror of herself. She's split between two worlds, the Dark Aether and the regular world, and this could be something to do with what Richtofen was doing to the Requiem heads and all the strike team. If he was experimenting on them whilst he had them captured, he could have been infusing them with the Dark Aether, and maybe this is what caused Ava Jansen to have these powers. Maybe there was no natural cause. Maybe Ava and Ravenov didn't even have to do anything together, if you know what I mean. Maybe this was some sort of weird messed up experimentation by Richtofen. Nevertheless, Ava has a lot of amnesia and she doesn't really remember her childhood, so she doesn't know how she's gotten these powers or what this connection is with the entity, but she's been seeing the entity since she was a child though. It has me wondering if maybe she was born to twins, Ava and also the entity, but one version ended up stuck in the Dark Aether, one in the regular world. There has actually been an apparent leak from the files mentioning someone known as Alex Jansen, and I'm wondering if Alex Jansen could be the entity's name, because the entity does mention that Ava is her younger sister, so maybe they are twins or something, with the Dark Aether version and the regular world version. So both of which we could see as children in Gulf War Zombies, and maybe Ava and the entity could be seen as their younger counterparts in this game. That is one possibility, and I wonder if this motion capture actress could have actually been portraying them. Now, of course, she's an adult, so it's unlikely that she would have been playing a child, so it's more than likely that she wasn't playing her, but she could be mocapping someone else. I mean, theoretically, she could be mocapping Dr. Gray, for example, or someone we already know. Now, of course, the other character we know is going to be in Gulf War Zombies in some capacity is, of course, Samantha Maxis, who was trapped inside the Dark Aether at the end of Cold War Zombies when she trapped the Forsaken in the containment chamber. Now, we don't know to what capacity we're going to see her, however, we know from Ravenov that he and the rest of the crew tried to rescue her from the Dark Aether. Most likely, that's probably the conclusion to the storyline, and most likely this is the reason why the Requiem heads end up deceased, attached to these Ethereum canisters, 2 canisters, underneath a hotel in Urzikstan. Now, I don't know if this is suggesting the final Gulf War Zombies map is going to be in Urzikstan, or maybe we're going to see some sort of Outbreak 2 played in Urzikstan, or maybe we're going to see an underground map underneath Urzikstan, for example, within the bunkers that have been opening up in Warzone, considering there are literally zombies being experimented in there. That's a possibility, but nevertheless, these characters sacrifice themselves to try and save Samantha Maxis, but seemingly end up dying either by Samantha's doing or someone else, just as the Forsaken predicted. They were led into a trap. Now, I don't know whether this device makes their souls go into the Dark Aether or something along those lines, but nevertheless, Samantha is one character we're probably going to see. The other character we're going to see in Gulf War Zombies is, of course, as I've mentioned already in this video, Eddie Richtofen himself. We don't know what he's going to be up to within this storyline, but he's going to basically serve as the main antagonist that Dr. Peck and the rest of them are going to be trying to go up against. So, assuming they successfully break out of Terminus Island on this first map, they will continue trying to track down Richtofen's whereabouts and what he is up to. Now, we know from the end of Cold War Zombies is intel that Richtofen shut down a town in West Virginia and is building huge tunnels, a massive wall, and is requesting scientists and custodians, etc. to be hired. We don't know what he's doing here. It's something obviously to do with the Dark Aether, maybe building a huge gateway. It's something probably for Project Janus that he is working on with uber rich elite individuals. So maybe if they break out of Terminus Island, they're then going to track down to this town in West Virginia, and that's going to be the other launch map for Gulf War Zombies, both of which have been found in the files, so it seems to line up with this intel that these are both going to be maps we're going to see. But who knows, maybe we just see these characters, for example, on the Terminus Island map, and we have entirely different characters in this West Virginia town. I really wonder what Richtofen is doing there. I'm so excited to see this map. Now, the final characters we know are going to be in this game are very different to what you were expecting, because it seems like they may be dark ether entities known as the Old Ones, because Spragmos, who created the Chrysalax wonder weapon on Forsaken, prophesized on the parchment paper allowing us to create it that the Old Ones would return. Now, we did see the Old Ones in Vanguard, so we don't know if he is referring to these characters specifically, that they're going to be the ones who return, because if you're unaware, Zykov somehow managed to defeat and consume all of the Old Ones and Elder Gods in the Dark Aether to become this huge powerful creature, and as he ate these creatures, he absorbed their powers. So when the Forsaken was contained in the containment chamber, it may have allowed these Old Ones to be freed, and they might return dominance in the Dark Aether, although even Samantha Maxis could be a big Elder God, and maybe even the most powerful, maybe even the Archon. That's something as well that people don't seem to be talking about, the Archon that was introduced in Vanguard Zombies. So yeah, the Old Ones might be back. We might see entirely different Old Ones that are different to the ones that we saw in Vanguard Zombies, and we might see Spragmos himself. Now, I assume the Old Ones were the ones who granted us the rewards in the Super Easter Egg for Cold War Zombies, for completing all of those Easter eggs. We heard this demonic voice talking to us.
Our ways are of old world. We will not be forgotten.
I assume that might have been Spragmos himself. So yeah, those are other characters we're going to see. But yeah, this has been a very long video, so I'm going to wrap it up now. Let me know in the comments down below, do you want to see a main crew in this game? I personally do, and I really hope that the Requiem Heads and maybe Ravenov as well as Dr. Peck could be playable characters. We could have literally a crew of 6, that would be awesome. I'm not entirely convinced that's going to be the case though. I would rather see that to operators. I still think we should be able to choose operators, but I don't think it should be one or the other. I think there's room to have both. And personally, I think the narrative and storyline would be a lot better if they were to do that. After all, these gamers had 4 years of development. They've had time to work on a fully fledged crew. I hope that's what we get. I miss back in the day us breaking down the character quotes that we would hear in the game, and unfortunately we don't really get that anymore. It would be so interesting just playing the map and, you know, picking up what Richtofen's saying, for example, on Blood of the Dead, listening to the clues, trying to piece together what it all means, and that's kind of been absent, unfortunately. All the story is pretty much entirely in the intel system now, and a bit in the quest itself, of course. I would like to hear from the characters directly, but that's just me. Anyways, thank you for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're not here for latest and greatest Call of Duty news and information. So anyways, thank you for watching, and bye.